Okay, we are live. So YouTube tells me. Well, it is another Thursday noon here in sunny and very, very breezy Florida. So if you hear some pounding, nothing is going on, just the wind. I'm here with Sarah from Virtuous Unicorns, and we are going to do our very best to answer your questions as well as we can with all the knowledge we already have. I have to apologize to somebody who asked me a question in an email. Yeah, I want to start out with this first. And I saw it on my phone and I got at the computer and now I cannot find it on the phone or on the computer and I don't remember. And he asked to be invited on the live show too. So that was a reason for me to already post a Zoom link. So any of you guys who feel like they want to be on live, click on that Zoom link and I will add you into the room. Ah, Shelly is there. So I just added Shelly to it. And I let her introduce herself, but I give her a few minutes to connect with the audio. We are doing this every week because there are always so many questions and there's always so much to talk about. I know last week we ran out of time and we were already like 15 minutes over the hour. And that it's not that it's bad. It's just I like to keep the videos or the calls within an hour. So, because I don't know, I have problems listening to 2, 3, 4 hour videos. I have to, stop for a while, do something else. So I thought, an hour is doable. I am a little bit about
Mhm.
myself. I am trained by Dr. Morse. I'm a level 1, level 2, and I am trained as an iridologist. Also into herbs, essential oils, although I don't use essential oils actually at all. It's kind of strange because I have them all, but they're not all safe around pets, especially not cats. And since I had cats pretty much in every room of my house, I wasn't using them anymore. Anyway, I am a yeah, I do back in an all fruitarian lifestyle, although it's not that easy for many but I have found it to be very healing after struggling with all kinds of stuff most of my life, trying out all the diets that you can imagine, all the healing diets and healing advice that you can imagine, only to come to the conclusion that it is so simple. And like Dr. Morse always says, it's fruit, berries, and melons to heal yourself. But today I do want to talk a little bit later on also about what do you do after you detox? Where are you going? How do you want your life to be? So, and then we have Sarah, who is always such a huge help and can often put things way better in words than I can. So I'm always super grateful
Oh, you're too
for her.
kind.
And we have Shelley.
Well, thank you very much.
So Shelley, would you like to introduce yourself and ask your question? And if I need to leave you alone for a little bit, that's okay too. We'll do it later.
Hi, yes. Thank you for sending me the link. I have two questions. So for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Shelly and I'm 18 years old and I just started this incredible fruitarian lifestyle 2 months ago. And I'm feeling amazing. There's a list of benefits that I'm experiencing from this lifestyle already. But yeah, so my first question is it okay to like constantly be eating fruit without breaks? Because I'm hungry all the time and I'm trying to eat a lot of calories and get a lot of calories in, but I notice that I'm just eating very, very frequently. So is that okay, or do I need to have longer breaks in between my meals? What do you think?
You can, it's like grazing, you keep eating. You can do that, but I do wonder why that is the case, why you are constantly hunger if there is an underlying um, cause of this. It's not bad to constantly eat, but I would think, well, I sure hope you have your nightly fast, your nightly dry
Yeah.
fast, and try to make them as long as you can. And but what happens actually, because you talk about hunger, and my experience with when I'm on all fruit, I'm not hungry at all. But then I'm serious with being all fruit. That no fats, no
Mhm.
oils, no avocados, or even the fatty fruits. That for me, it's then apples, oranges, some bananas, even. I may eat some dates or figs, whatever is available, and oranges, and
Yeah.
it's more that kind of fruit. Then I'm not hungry. But if I have the nerve to even add an avocado, then everything changes, and I get that ravenous hunger that I have to eat. But that is
Mhm.
not there on fruit. So I'm surprised that you do have that. So I would like to dig in a little deeper. What can be the cause of that? Because somebody once told me there are two types of hunger, and that was actually the one where you have that hunger, but that is when you eat the wrong foods. And it happens to me every time I eat a cooked meal. And my cooked meals is then usually on a soup, green leafy soup, nothing really special
Wow.
in it. Yeah, there can be onions in it, and some green leaves, and but I'm always, after that, I'm bloated, I'm thirsty, and I always want more. It's like
Yeah.
that one big cup of soup is never enough. I want more, and then I feel more dense, and more thirsty and not happy. While on fruit, there is a different hunger. There is a signal that your stomach is empty, and that you would yeah, you could use some food. Half the time I'm busy and I even forget to eat, and it's like, oh my gosh, my bananas need to be eaten, or the mangoes need to be eaten, and that reminds me to eat. So
Mhm.
because I'm just not hungry. I would yeah, tell me what happens. What kind of hunger do you feel?
Yeah, so I'm feeling really hungry today for some reason, but the past 2 months I haven't been feeling that hungry because I had more access to fruit. So it's not a really strong hunger. It's just this like feeling of like I'm not really satisfied, maybe because I'm not consuming enough calories, or but I just don't feel like I'm really satisfied. And I always like want to put something else in my mouth.
Yeah, we have to kind of unlearn certain things, retrain
Yeah.
ourselves. I think that is a big thing. And it's like, to me, and this is what I learned from Dr. Morse, that he says, you eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full.
Mhm.
And I heard somebody say, oh, but I'm full, but still not satisfied. And then I'm like, well, you didn't eat fruit then. You didn't eat all fruit then, because, you get to a point that, like, oh, okay, this was enough. And even if you would have half a bowl, or less than that left, then you don't feel like you have to eat it all. And that happens to me with fruit. I can have a bowl of grapes, nearby, and I pick a few once in a while, because grapes are actually quite filling.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't have that really ravenous hunger, then there's nothing to worry about. But to your question is like, yeah, can you eat too much? No, you cannot really eat. You cannot overeat on fruit, not really. Your body just tells you when you stop,
Yeah.
and you stop. And if that means that an hour or 2 hours later you feel like, yeah, I would like to have another banana or two, and just eat them. Don't worry about that. It's not that it is abnormal.
Yeah. And it's temporary because I feel like my body's probably not absorbing, and I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm underweight, but I am not really like heavy for my age. So I'm afraid of losing even more weight on this lifestyle because I noticed that I lost a little bit, and I have a feeling it's because my body's not absorbing. So I feel
Yeah.
amazing, which is already a good sign that I'm on the right track, but I'm like kind of afraid of losing some weight. I know I'm going to gain it back later, but how can I try to slow down that process, like not lose too much weight? What can I do?
Well, it depends on what is your goal. Why did you start with this way of eating? If it is because you want to heal something that
Mhm.
concerns you, then I would say detox. If you are not really detoxing, I mean, my gosh, eat an avocado once in a while. Eat a sweet potato once in a while. You know, you don't have
Mhm.
to be 100% on fruit, but I would say stay as much on the mucusless foods as you can. And
Mhm.
there comes in a few, not a bag full, but a few nuts maybe, you know, and with a few, I literally mean a few, 2 or 3 nuts. And to add to your yeah, we always talk about calories, but what are calories really? What does it mean? I mean, the calories for fats are different than the calories for carbohydrates. So with fruit, you actually get a lot of calories in. So that is not the case. That is not an issue, because you can even be malabsorbed if you get 300 calories if your body is not absorbing the nutrients. So that is where cleaning your GI tract comes in. And as long as that is, an issue, and you haven't cleaned that out, yeah, I would do that first. If you're getting on all fruit now, I mean, yeah, stay on it for a while, and give your body a chance to clean, and then start adding little, the foods like an avocado or durian is actually quite fatty, and add a little bit more fats, but don't add it in the form of oils.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I noticed that I'm also very sensitive to fats now. I posted a post in Dr. Morse's fan group, and I was saying that I'm super sensitive to fats. I was never this sensitive to fats. Do you know what the case might be? Like if I have a salad and I have like a dressing with like some seeds in it, I get super nauseous. But when I eat only fruit with no fat, I feel great, and I don't know what's going on. Do you have
Is it
any
is it
idea?
is it is it really important to know it, because your body already tells you, like, no, don't do that. I don't like it.
Mhm.
Now you do get at first you get very sensitive on all fruit. It's like Dr. Morse always says, the fruit brings it all out. It
Yeah.
brings out the issues. It brings out what you don't need. I always say it's so amazing that we got to, even at my age, that you got to a point you're still living and breathing with all the junk that over the years made
Yeah.
its way into your body, and your body adjusted to it, and you think you're all fine. I thought I was pretty healthy, didn't have a gallbladder since I was 19, but hey, I was pretty healthy. I had herniated disc. I had a whole host of things even before I got the vaccinations in 2001 for immigration that started messing things up somewhat, a lot.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
yeah, it is mostly it was all the foods. For you, you're only 18, and so you haven't damaged your body as much as many of us have. And
No.
it's now telling you, don't do the fats. If you get nauseous, it's like, okay, slow down with it and don't eat
Mhm.
it. And maybe, in a month or 2 months, you can add a little, but be careful with oils and with, what is in dressing. If you don't make your own dressing and you have store-bought, oh my God, you can
Yeah.
barely read the 20 different ingredients. I can make an amazing dressing with 3 ingredients.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Um, Awesome. So one last question before I have to go. Do you recommend me to do a gallbladder flush cleanse? Because maybe that is why I'm sensitive to fats. I don't have enough bile, maybe.
Well, a gallbladder or a liver flush is quite intense, and it involves a lot of oil.
Uh,
And I don't like it if you don't have any indication that it is needed. And give your body the time to heal with what you're doing. And going slow is always the best way, because
yeah.
you make this into a different lifestyle, and it's like you're not going back to the pastas and pizzas and etc., because your body won't like that at all. And then you introduce the foods that make you sick. If you introduce them back, you go the same route again. And I know you're not going to do that, but
No.
so yeah. But you're doing great. Amazing. Very
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
Thank you. Yes, I will. Thank you for answering my questions. And I'll probably stick around for a little bit. And if anybody else has questions, I'll listen to them. All right. Thank you, Toni.
Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Sarah,
Yeah, I was
do
going
you
to say
have
that's
any?
amazing. She's so,
I was just going to
yeah.
ask you, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say it's just amazing. She's so young and she's already on this path. I mean, just think back if we could have started that young. uh, I've always been kind of on the vegetarian, vegan, path, even at a younger age too. But just to know the gnosis that we know now versus back then, it just only if we could go back. But
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive to oil too, and I'm very sensitive to fats. I will, if I have too much, it burns my stomach almost, and it really makes me sick. And I can barely do avocados even. So maybe we'll have to dig into that one day for me.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I could eat anything and everything, including fats and oils, the cheeses, and it did not make a difference. I didn't even have a gallbladder. And since I was 19, I was a young mom, and it all started right after I had given birth. It was 19 and a half, I think. And within 6 weeks after that, it was like, oh my gosh. And then I walked around with it for about a year, and I got to a point I couldn't even drink water anymore, or I got an attack. And it was so inflamed, so they took it out, including, I think that was 52 or 56 little stones. Now we know the ways to get them out, and that was actually known way back then too. I'm talking about 70s. And there was a homeopath in my town, and what he did was have people drink half a liter of oil to get them out, and that scared me. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I had an emergency surgery, so there was no, maybe otherwise I would have done it, but that pain, that gallbladder pain, that is, oh my gosh. I think it was even worse than giving birth. It was really, really bad.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
I
it's I always thought, oh my God, I have a stomach like steel. I can eat anything and everything. Well, that's not the case anymore. It's like even with what I mentioned, simple cooked food, and it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It doesn't feel any good anymore. And the crazy thing is, I actually only feel good on fruit. So
Mhm.
there is with that there is another question often coming up. It's like I posted something in a fans group about somebody who has been living on all fruit. So the first question that came in that group, oh, where is he living and how long has he been doing that? Now it was an older video, so it seemed like it was only 4 years, but he has been doing that 10 years, and of all places, he lives in Canada.
Is it Free
So,
Melon?
huh?
Is it the
Yes.
Free Melon
Yeah.
Society?
Yeah. Eli
Mhm.
Martyr.
Yep.
And he has amazing videos. I mean, absolutely look him up on YouTube. He has he has all the information he needs. Even I learned from him. He's also a practitioner. He has been doing this for much longer actually than I have. And he had his slow transition. So, oh God, I have to laugh about JV. I developed my stomach into a human garbage can. We all did that.
Yep,
And I think we
we
all had
did.
our bouts of health foods, changing things. Yeah, I was 16, 17 years old. I was on macrobiotic. I even worked once a week in a macrobiotic restaurant. I loved to cook. And my God, I was gaining weight like crazy. And this was in my early 20s. And it was like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm not, no candy, no sugar, no sodas, no alcohol, and no meat. But yes, I was eating bread, I was eating rice, I was eating beans. Now we know it's all those proteins and all those fats. And yeah, we used oils. So that was for me the case. And I had already, getting into my 50s, I gave up, like, no, I'm not going to do anything to lose weight anymore. I always that yo-yoing, and I'm not going to do it. And it's fine. I am whatever I am. And those, I needed to lose 40, 50 pounds. And whatever it is. And not even thinking about it, and getting on on all raw and mostly fruit. I was like, oh my gosh, I need new pants. Before I knew it, I had dropped like 3, 4 sizes, and not even thinking about it. And that is, there was a question about weight loss, but not much for about people who have too much weight, but people who have a little weight, or little weight who are underweight actually. And that is where cleaning the gut comes in. And what are you eating, and how far can you go with your weight loss? If you detox for a certain amount of time, and then you go into, it's like, you transition into a detox, and then I don't want to say transition out of that, but it's more like your lifestyle diet does not necessarily have to be 100% fruit. If you're losing too much weight and you feel tired, but then you have to look at all the underlying issues, like how is your GI tract doing? How is this your pancreas doing? And that is where, when you get to that point, I would like to talk with you, so we can go over things. You fill out the health questionnaire, and we just, dig in a little deeper and see what the cause is. What I say is, like, is the question often is all fruit sustainable? And can you do that? And what is the quality of fruit? I started growing a little bit of my own fruit, but other than that, I deal with whatever I can buy from farmers nearby, farmers markets, talk to people, and yeah, grocery stores. And sometimes I get my oranges and bananas at Walmart, and other times it's like wherever I can get them. But I feel great on that fruit. So I don't know what to tell you. I think it's different for everyone. If you eat all fruit and you don't feel good on it, then we have to figure out something else.
Mhm. I know some people, like when they're transitioning, that it is like, especially if they're coming off of meat, that they feel very sick during that transition process. And then they only feel good once they have meat again. And I just tell them it's, all those little, I can't think of the word, the little things in your body that make you think you want it. And so they're craving the meat and everything because they've kind of taken over. And it is that transition period too, that once those all kind of die off, and then the ones that want the fruit and the natural stuff, take over, there will be that transition period there too.
Yeah, it's what we eat. Would I always eat fruit? No, I have my times that I go back to eating a little bit more, eating some cooked food, but every time I do, I don't feel good. So, and on top of that, I gain weight. And so there
Yeah.
is that just tells me that, it's not in balance yet. And it is for the question often is how long do you detox? And if you do a slow detox, it doesn't feel like a detox. But if you do I just heard somebody I'm going to start tomorrow, I'm going to start a 30-day water fast. And then I'm like, but what did you do to get to that point? There are steps to get there. Don't jump in there like, okay, I'm for whatever reason, I'm now gonna do a water fast. That's scary to me. It really is. It's like, no, you want to, it's just a shock for your body. Yes, yes, JV, parasites. Of course,
Yeah.
no, there was an interesting comment I saw somebody making about the parasites and the bacteria we have in our bodies, and you can wonder about, do we need them? I think we do. There is a function for everything. Should we clean out our body completely of all the parasites? No, I don't think so. I think I would do like a 1 month herbal protocol, and to get rid of too many parasites, because with all the junk food that we've been eating, and in junk food, yeah, sorry, I do put meat in dairies and eggs, we do get parasites in that were not really supposed to be there. So, but
And
after a
seafood,
month,
that has so many parasites.
I'm sorry?
I said seafood, when people come from eating seafood, that has so many parasites in it.
Okay, yeah, but they say that about pork too. And
Yeah.
I was never a big meat eater because I just didn't like it. But I did like spare ribs. And that's and that's pork. But I
Yeah.
ate it once or twice a year, but still. But if you have too many parasites in it, of course, that's never a good thing. But if you are a year on a very alkaline diet, they cannot live in your body then.
That's very true.
Okay, Grant, you say
There's a
something. If
person.
you come from a regular diet, you should transition to the Eden diet. Now, what is the Eden diet? I don't know what the Eden diet is.
The only thing that comes to mind for me on the Eden diet is the Eden gardening. And so that would be a lot of the vegetables that you would be growing. And that's when they grow them without digging into the earth. They just lay like cardboard down, and then they'll lay dirt on top of that. That's what I've seen from Eden. But as we know, we can eat the vegetables. They're just a little bit more harder for us to digest, and they don't really provide anything for us, such as the fruit is what really provides everything we need.
Yeah,
I should say the veggies are not healing.
Yeah, and with the veggies, I mean, there is such a crazy variety, and it's like, even if we go into a restaurant and we go into a salad bar, we can put 10, 20 different things on our plate and eat it all. And I in the last few years, I'm looking at it and it's like, I don't think this is the way we're supposed to eat. It's too complicated, and I think there is going to be a digestion issue then, and so many people have issues with their digestion, and it's just from all the junk there. But yeah, I do feel we should
Mm-hmm.
transition to mostly fruit with some like that butter lettuce, some soft young leafy greens. They are easier to digest, and some dulse, and I'm not even sure about seeds in the way that nuts are harvested. I heard somebody say how extremely healthy cashews are, and that it could heal diseases. And I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. You may want to look up how are cashews harvested. That is, you don't want to eat, you really, you do not want to eat cashews after that. So,
Mm-mm. Nope. And they're very fatty, and our system is not set up for the fat to handle that much fat. Also,
no, it's
JV
not.
saying that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was, no, go ahead. You were talking.
JV was just saying that he believes the Eden diet is vegan, which, yeah, I mean, that would be, I think it's more based around vegetables, though. Um, and I mean, vegetables are fine, lightly steamed vegetables, but again, you might have some gastric issues from eating vegetables just because they are just much harder for us to digest. And especially if you're eating like mixed vegetables, your body's trying to decide what to digest first and what not to.
Yeah, it
And there
is.
was a question up earlier, which I don't see. I'm so sorry. I don't know. We keep talking over each other today.
It's a lag. It's a lagging in the connection. That's okay.
Yeah. The storm, huh?
Yeah, I do want to go to the vegan part. Um, what is being a vegan? I mean, there was a big discussion in one of the groups. We are not vegans. First of all, we're fruitarians, and a vegan diet, yeah, it does mean that you don't eat meat, dairy, and eggs, but you can eat all kinds of junk food, and we do not want to do that. I mean, it's if you want to, give it a name because you don't eat animals or animal-derived foods anymore, then okay. But yeah, and I think I am first an ethical vegan in the sense of I don't want to harm animals. And then there is this big health aspect. But I believe if you become a vegan, so you don't eat the animal-derived foods because of your health and not because of ethical reasons that you don't want to harm the animals, then that is where I often see people going back to eating meat again. As an ethical vegan, you never go back to eating meat again, or dairy or eggs too. Yeah,
Yeah, you just can't.
we are a species, we are a frugivore, just like you have carnivores and omnivores, and but if you want to give it a name, then we are fruitarians before we are vegans, because a vegan is not a fruitarian. I mean, if you live the fruitarian lifestyle, um, that's different than being a vegan. I mean, if I go into the health food store and I see all this packaged vegan junk food, I don't even want to be associated with that.
Mhm. I think vegan was actually created by companies anyway, just to make it look like or almost like they're driving us into that, but to keep us still making purchases. Because I don't know if anyone hasn't been into a Whole Foods lately, but there is nothing that you can't buy in that store that's not vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, this, that, and everything else. And it's just a huge, you know, ploy on the corporations that make you keep buying stuff and thinking you need to buy all this stuff. And they're just the ones that are making all kinds of money off of it and whatnot, when we should just be eating the fruits that we can get either locally, farmers markets, or grocery stores, Walmart, wherever. And if you're just kind of focusing on that, I mean, there's so much that goes into packaging and the chemicals, the packaging, the testing, everything. So in the advertising, you just really need to just focus on the fruit, really, because they're really playing with our minds anyway, just to get us to buy all this stuff in the first place. So I think vegan is technically just made up by corporations.
It is, and of course there has been, even when I was in my teens and my 20s, there was talk about not being vegan and not and vegetarian. Vegetarian was more well known than vegan because people still ate the cheeses and eggs, but no meat or fish. And but they just see a market and people fall for it. It's like even when I go to a really large Whole Food store, because they do have pretty good fruit in Tampa. And but I only see a tiny part of the store, and that is where the fruits and the cilantro and the parsley is, and that's all I buy. And I load the cart full, and that's it. I don't even see the rest of the store. Oh, and I do get coconut water there, because I do. That's the only thing that I buy packaged is coconut water. I really tried with the fresh coconuts. It drives me up the wall. I cannot do it. Getting those things open.
And it's very hard to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's impossible sometimes.
Yeah.
And also every time you go to the grocery store, you're voting. So you're voting for what they should purchase to keep in those grocery stores. So if we are only purchasing fruits and vegetables, then they're just going to only eventually have fruits and vegetables. So just keep in mind, you're voting every time you go to the checkout of what that store should be carrying.
Yeah, no, that of course, that's always the way it is. I usually empty the shelves from from what is it, the oranges.
People, and I get asked every time we check out too, or like if I'm buying carrots for horses, they're like, "Are you juicing?" I'm like, "I have a horse," and so it's crazy how shocking it is that if you buy 2-4 bags of oranges, whatever, the cashier's like, "Oh wow, like well, that's a lot of sugar," and you're just like, "Oh, okay."
They stop asking me that because I
Sure.
probably have about at least 10-15 bags of oranges. And I mean, it has to get us through the whole week. I'm only shopping once a week. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we buy like 20-30 pounds of apples in a week. Lots of bananas, but that is
Mm-hmm.
mostly it. It's bananas, apples, and oranges. And if they have good mangoes, then it could be mangoes, but I haven't had a good one, so I don't eat them. Not right now, and not until I can go to a farm nearby again. So yeah, that's it.
Try Yeah, I was going to say, try looking, like even just everybody listening, try finding a place in your area that provides the fruits and vegetables and whatnot to grocery stores or restaurants. That's what we did in our area. So we only buy, if we are buying from a grocery store, we try to buy very little because it's more expensive for what the quantity we're looking for. So we actually went, and we do drive. It's almost 20-25 minutes away from us, and we'll go down. It's a big warehouse. You walk in, you load up your big giant cart. It's like a hand dolly or something, and you load up all your boxes on there. And we walk out with, I don't know, 6 88 count boxes of oranges for our whole family. And again, they'll ask us too, "Are you guys packing lunches for schools, or what are you guys doing with all these oranges?" And they cannot believe that we drink it each week.
Yeah.
But it's a good place to go because then you're getting it, I don't want to say fresh, but at least they're getting it, and then it's going to the store or something. So you're cutting out one, place, but.
I see Angelica, I hope I pronounced that correctly, eats a lot of the pineapples from Walmart. I actually thought I found a really ripe pineapple. It was on a farmer's market. It smelled delicious. It tasted delicious. And after a few bites, my mouth started burning really, really bad. So it was not a ripe pineapple. If you're doing good on it, great, but be aware that the pineapples are not picked ripe at Walmart. Well, they're not picked at Walmart, but Walmart does not sell ripe picked pineapples. I have another thing that I noticed. What we do, we have our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, this is normally not how we even eat, but we still have that so in our mind, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And dinner is often the heaviest meal of the day. And that means that you have all that heavier food that needs to digest while you're sleeping. Not a good idea. If you can, make your heavier meal in the afternoon and not in the evening. And it's even okay to eat a banana before you go to bed.
Yeah, a lot of us eat our heavy meal as dinner, but is it because you're coming home stressed from the day? Or was your day too busy that you just didn't have time to really eat throughout the day? I know that every time I would, whenever I had to go into the office, it's been years since I've had to do anything like that, but I would just come home from being stressed, from being in that environment all day long. And all I wanted to do was pretty much just veg out in front of the TV and basically pass out from the day. So that's another thing, that we could just be so used to that kind of habit of making the dinner the biggest part of the day, because it is the time we can finally come home and we feel like we can breathe and relax. And so many of us have associated food with that feeling of relaxing and just, settling in. So definitely lunch, should for sure be that way when you're ready to lay down to go into your nightly fast. Then you're not so into much digestion. But, fruit, it's not that hard on your body to digest anyway.
Yeah, because I can see that is where sleep problems can come from too. So, you should not, well, first of all, you should not eat right before you go to bed, and I make that a few hours. But I've tried it out now, because my mind is always going a mile a minute. I'm doing so many different things, and I do go from the computer to bed, which is never a good thing. But I did find that just before I go to bed, I grab a banana. I'm awake for maybe half an hour before, 15 minutes, half an hour before I go to sleep. And then I fall asleep really fast, which is a good thing. And when I first heard about that, I was like, that's kind of unusual, because you want to have your stomach actually empty before you go to sleep. But that banana worked.
That's really good to know. I used to enjoy having like a blueberry banana smoothie before going to bed. As what Shelley was saying, I did used to get these where I was just so hungry that I couldn't understand it. I didn't know if it was hormonal or just things hadn't balanced out yet, but I would be extremely hungry. And it was also that I was used to having that full feeling. Whereas when you're on all fruit, you don't get that like bloaty full feeling anymore. You just kind of get that more satisfied. But I mean, to this day, I can sit down and eat a giant bag of grapes, like with no problem. Or I can eat a whole bag of cherries. And each time I eat a whole bag of cherries, I'm like, wow, that was like $16. And then I'm like, I need to slow down on that habit. Oh, but yeah, so I do. And so I would put that in there so I could go to sleep. And it would settle my stomach down enough to where I could sleep and fall asleep well.
Yeah, it is relaxing. We don't do that enough. It is and people used to do that. They had a big meal and then they took a walk. I knew of families, they all ate together, and after they were done, they all took a long walk, and it makes sense. But we don't do that
Hmm.
anymore. We sit in, well, I don't have a
No, we
TV,
don't.
so, but I do have a computer, so it's no excuse. I was gonna say, we sit in front of the TV, but now I sit in front of the computer, so actually it's the same difference. Still not healthy.
Yeah, we're just downloading all we're just constant researching and stuff like that too, where even that, I mean, even if it is like a bonus and a benefit for, gaining more knowledge, you still do need to take that time to, relax and just have downtime, especially, away from the screens and whatnot. I'm seeing a few questions about more nuts and pecans and whatnot, but as Toni said earlier, yes, if you're not detoxing, but it's a few. And how many of us can really sit down and just have two pistachios or two cashews or something like that? Um, in my opinion, it's got a lot of fat in them usually. And I don't believe that we're made to have, high fatty diets in the first place. Hence why we have non-alcoholic liver problems now.
Yeah, I see a question, or actually comment from Kare. Can't imagine that much fruit and sugar. What sugar are you talking about? What has a lot of sugar? Are you talking about the fruit? Because you cannot compare fruit sugars to regular sugar. It's we need the fruit sugars. Our brain needs the fruit sugars.
What our brain functions off of.
I'm sorry?
Our our brain needs that to function.
Absolutely, and but we don't need the sugars that you get from the pastas, and the bread in our bodies. That's not doing it any good. I found, and that this is, and I've spoken about this before. In 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I don't take medications. I never, well, almost never did. But I could not really get it under control well enough when I was still eating some cooked food and some fats in it from avocado. So yeah, it was the healthy, you would say the healthy way of living. It was, mostly mucus, less foods, but my sugar was still too high. And until I left out all the fats and the cooked food, and sugar, balanced it, normalized way under 100, and not being having that jittery feeling in your body, so that the fruit is doing good. And everybody is like, oh yeah, but the fruit is feeding it's feeding cancer, it's feeding candida. And I'm like, okay, throughout your whole life you didn't eat fruit, you do have cancer, but now the fruit is to blame. That is what came out in the mainstream media, in a lot of the magazines, and well, pretty much everywhere, and from your doctors. And it's the same with candida. You already had candida, you were not eating fruit, and now the fruit is to blame. It doesn't work that way. So that is not really the case. Can you eat fruit all day? Well, it is for me, well, let's say it this way. When I first heard about it, maybe now 5, 6 years ago, and some video popped up when I was looking at things from a young couple. They were traveling the world, and they were making videos where they were going, where certain fruits were in season, and they wanted to try all the fruits that were available in whatever country. And I was like, this is crazy, living on all fruits. They look great. How do they do that? That can't be possible. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I'm introduced to with Dr. Morse and then with Charlie, and learn about fruitarian. I never heard of it. I had never heard even the word frugivores. That was all completely new to me. And so yeah, I see what you mean, Jennifer. It is it was an concept like, no, you cannot live on all fruit. But when you transition slow into it, and for me, slow, that meant, yeah, going all raw. I do have to say, I did leave or eliminated the meat, dairy, and eggs, fish right away. That was, next day out. And but cooked food and some millet pastas and coconut curries and things like that I was still eating until I was fully raw, and that is where the magic really started to happen. And but I've been off the meats, the animal products for more than 5 years now, but there was not really that much of a magic until I actually also left all the nuts out. That was when my healing started. So that's why we know that, nuts are, you need to build up to regenerate, to put on some weight. Yeah, you can add a few, but then, soak them. So I eat everything raw. I eat, the some veggies, not a whole lot. Of course, the fruits are always raw. I like the juices. I like smoothies. I keep my smoothies with one or two fruits and some coconut water and more fruits. And I may, spiralized zucchini with some, I call it salsa. It's a sauce that I make from tomatoes, cilantro, parsley, and lemon, and some of the Italian herbs, and I put it in the blender. No, actually, I put that because I like the I don't like it completely watery, so I put it in the food processor. And there you have a nice raw meal. There's so many, you can be so creative with it. I haven't used it in the last year. I do have an dehydrator. Lots of fun things you can create with a dehydrator. But when you're all fruit, you don't even think about that. You don't think about recipes and, oh my God, what am I going to eat tonight? It's just you grab another piece of fruit that needs to be eaten. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's the ultimate lazy person's way of lifestyle, because all you have to do is just get up and grab a piece of fruit. There's minimal cleanup, minimal.
Yeah, it's like my recipe for today, and then you see a plate with an orange and a plate with a peeled orange. My recipe for today. Grant, no, we don't talk about high fructose corn syrup because yes, it is in everything, but that's not what we eat. I mean, what we eat is where you don't have to read a label. And even you go to the health food stores and you think you get to the healthier food, even if you read the packages there, the labels, it has high fructose corn syrup in it. It's the worst of what you can get. So I don't buy packaged food. So I don't need to read the labels. Is there an ingredient? There should be one ingredient only. But even then, it is processed, and we wanna get that out of our diet. Anything that is processed. If you want to eat beans, then don't buy them ready made in a can, but have them dry, soak them, and prepare them. So yeah. Gosh, high fructose corn syrup. I had never heard of it until I came to the United States for the first time in 81. Because in the Netherlands, you didn't have that. Of course, now you do. But they had other junk, so don't get me wrong, it wasn't just the US. And even now, when I go to at a grocery store, I go through an aisle where they have bread. You have this weird smell, in the high fructose corn syrup is in all that bread, and you can smell it, and it makes me hate it.
Isn't that weird how sensitive that was going to be my next question. I know you touched on that before about how you can taste the pesticides, but what about smells? Because I can smell things, I feel like miles away. I can walk outside and be like, somebody was here with cologne on, and like they've been gone for like a little bit. So like my sense of smell is very strong. So has anything changed with that?
I think we get more sensitive, and I think that's amazing. I mean, because it's good to have a good smell. It's wonderful, because if you can smell what's bad for us, you can also smell, the things that are good for us. And now, as a
Yes.
surprise, we have Justin in here. So welcome, Justin.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Justin.
Yeah. Hey, I just saw your message. Aaron and I are heading north to Michigan to head towards the Trump rally.
Hey everybody.
Oh, you're getting into the bad
awesome.
weather, huh?
Yeah, right. We're heading north into the cold.
Yeah.
We're crazy. But yeah, we just wanted to pop
Hi,
in.
Justin. Hi, Aaron. So good to hear you.
Yeah. So good to hear from y'all too, and just appreciate y'all doing this show every week. I know it's so helpful for people as we all just look at our health and really examine what better ways we can take care of ourselves and what better ways we can feel better, just to feel that liveliness and that energy. So thank y'all for sharing that.
Well, thank you, Justin. I mean, you are the one that experienced it all, to go from a standard diet into the mostly fruit, and then add chips and salts to your diet. So you know what it does.
Right. Well, it is certainly something. It let me know that how vital it is to really kind of strategize when going about it, not to be too hasty in any particular direction, unless you have a life-threatening illness, and then you do need to go at it pretty hard. But if you're not in any major pain or discomfort, it really is helpful to go at things in a sort of calculated manner. Try and just go at it slowly, really be honest with where we are, and just take that step-by-step approach until you're every step closer to that optimum way of being, which is this light food. Light. The lighter we go with our food, the less dense we become, and therefore we become less dense and rise ultimately. And that's the goal, is to just lighten our load, lighten the load in all senses. And so yeah. It's an honor to be a part of that journey and to share that along with others, and to share the pitfalls and the stumbles, and with the salty snacks, and like you mentioned, it still is something that I'm working with, but it's rewarding because it's built right into it. So I get to really see, okay, this is what it feels like when I'm like this. This is what it feels like when I eat this, and just get to take ownership of that whole experience.
Yeah, it is an interesting, and we have to make it a fun journey. It shouldn't be a drag. It should be a pleasure to experience everything that can happen in your body, and how you can make the change, how you can be in control of what is happening. I think that is amazing.
It's a beautiful journey.
Now, is Aaron there too, Justin?
Yeah, I'm sitting right here just in the driver's seat.
Oh, okay. Because, Aaron, I have never heard about your journey into this different way of eating, actually.
Yeah, my journey, I fortunately had a garden my whole life. Here and there, my parents were pretty decent at the food. We cooked, my mom cooked dinners, and my dad hunted and stuff when I was younger. So we didn't eat out a lot, and, having a garden, kind of always knew that, tomatoes come from a plant that grows outside and not always from the store. And so I had a decent food background growing up, but about 2 years ago, I pretty much jumped off the cliff and went vegan. I did cook vegan for a while, for about 8 months. And then in December, where I met Justin, we did the 21-day, I guess, juice feast or juice cleanse with Josh X. And then I continued to do water fasting and juice feasting for about a solid year. I would say I was on for about 8 months, strictly just orange juice. And then ever since, just kept it a raw vegan diet as much as I can. And getting out here in Babylon for a little bit, the salty snacks are, tempting, and I indulge in those a little bit, and I pay for them as well. But it's a blessing to have the experience, to know what it does to my body, to gain that sensitivity back that I didn't before, where I know what the food is doing to me and I know what it is, so I can make that conscious effort or conscious choice, whether to consume it or not, so then it's all on me, and I'm not doing it under any other, not knowing what I'm doing and stuff. So, and then, so it's been about, I would say, 2 years since I haven't had any animal product, and trying my best ever since we've been here in Dallas, traveling and going to the Trump rallies. So.
Yeah, it's not the easiest when you are traveling, but well, in a way it actually is, because you can buy fruit pretty much anywhere, and it doesn't need any preparation. So
Yeah, it's very doable.
Yeah, we've been doing. We do it. We make a point of it, and it's a great example for everybody to see that it is possible. And everywhere you go, we've made it work. We've been juicing, pretty much every day, on finding oranges and fresh fruit everywhere we go. And if we have to, we'll get it from Costco or whatever it needs to be, but we hunt it out when we can, and we make a point of it. And, so it's just it's easier. Like you said, you could just grab a cantaloupe and cut it in half, and there's no preparation. Just eat it, and then throw the rest of it back to Earthly Mother, and just continue that cycle.
yeah, that is, we found that first out with my husband Willem, when he, truck driving on the road 16 hours a day. It's like not wanting to eat at restaurants or the truck stops. So when he leaves for 5 days, I think he takes about 50-60 pounds of fruit with him.
Yeah, it's good to have a good stock. And oranges are just so great because they're so durable. So we can get a whole case of oranges. Like that's ideal, is to buy at least one case at a time, but sometimes multiple, because they last, and we juice so much that we go through them. But it's just an easy way to always keep a consistent level of that cleansing fruit, and oranges are so astringent anyway. So even if I'm dipping into the cooked foods or the salty snacks, I've got that orange juice cleanse every day, which is just kind of helping to reestablish that alkalinity as best I can. And of course, it's only going to do so much, so I can't rely on it. But that's why I always encourage people, if you can really replace breakfast with just fresh fruit, and especially if I really like just juice, because it's such a gentle way to kick things off. It's going to help out tremendously. So just taking those steps of saying, what, I'm not going to eat these dense, standard everything diet breakfasts, or even close to that. I'm going to eat fresh fruit. Such a better way to start the day.
Yeah, and smoothies, fresh fruit smoothies or juice.
Yeah, smoothies are great. You buy frozen fruit's not the greatest. Of course, it's not going to be as good as fresh fruit, but if you're choosing between that and like, you know, a Big Mac or waffles or whatever, you know, anything else in the morning, a smoothie is going to be great. You know, frozen fruit is going to be great compared to all that. So it's all a spectrum as far as what's ideal. And ideal is obviously plucking it from the tree, you know, where it just falls, like Toni describes it, falls perfectly in your hand right before, when it's just absolutely made for us. You know, God's gift to us, saying, here, take this, eat. You don't have to be hungry. You're fed. And we get to take that and use that and take that harnessed light energy, you know, the sun energy and the air and the earthly mother below, you know, all that combining into that wonderful piece that you can reach out and grab and taste and feel. And that's our reminder, you know, of kind of where we're returning to. Is so when we become more attuned to these kinds of foods, we become more attuned to the earth all around, and we can ground with her so that we can bring her up to the Father, you know, complete that matrimony, the marriage between. And the food journey is just such a powerful step within that. So bravo to everyone listening to this episode and tuning into shows like this, because you're taking a powerful step towards that direction.
Yeah, thank you for having the courage. Just, you know, start tackling this. It is going to be one of the hardest things to tackle. And there's a lot of attachments that come around food, and just a lot of attachments that people have with it. So thank you very much for taking that step.
Yeah, the step to a new life, to feel better, to feel happier. It's not just, you know, your health, it's your mind, it's everything around you. I mentioned on Freaks and World about I was on 100% fruit again, and all of a sudden I had this urge to clean, to get the messes away, to clean up. And it's like you get cleaner inside, and then everything around you has to be clean too. It's like, it's amazing how that works. Declutter your mind.
Absolutely. And having a constructive way of channeling that energy is also you know, necessary. And that's something that people get shocked by when you switch to an all fruit diet, is how much energy you have, because it's just such a pure form of it. It doesn't have to go to put it through to get it to some form of energy to use. It's just like quick, immediate. You notice it. And but if you're not ready for it, you know, you might get uncomfortable with the amount of energy. So it's always good to channel that into something, you know, point it in some constructive or creative direction, you know, somewhere where you want to. And decluttering, cleaning up is a great way to make that space for that creative energy to flow. You know, when we're clearly firing on all synapses, you know, when God is able to reach us, that's when we can operate at our best. And so if our body's cluttered, we can't do anything. And if our house is cluttered, we can't do anything. It's all part of the same.
Yeah, and it's beautiful how everything works together. I mean, this is how it's supposed to be. It's the storm is picking up here. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Justin, Aaron, are you juicing on the road? I was just asking Justin and Aaron, are you juicing on the road or able to?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we've got this little citrus juicer, one of those automatic ones where you just place pressure on it and it juices. And we use that every day. You know, we get oranges all the time. That's like a necessary thing. You know, we got to make sure we got enough dog food, and we got to make sure we have enough oranges, and then, you know, anything else otherwise. But that's the essentials.
Okay. Well, I might send you a message then. Have you made it to Ohio yet?
Yes, we are driving through Ohio and almost to Michigan.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. You already passed me.
Oh,
I'll send you a message for next time you come through.
Yeah, on the way back.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Cool.
great. Well, thank you all so much for what you do. You're getting lots of love in the comments, so make sure to check those out. And everybody's so supportive and just always eager to hear from the both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
It means a lot.
It really does.
Can't really do it without you guys. So.
Well, I could, but
Well.
it makes it a lot nicer to have everyone along with me.
Yes. I would do it without you.
Yeah, I'll do it without you. So if y'all leave me, I'm still going to be doing this, okay? Keep that in mind. But I love y'all so much. I appreciate the support and just having others on this journey, you know, just recognizing what we have to do and what we need to step forward. And so it just fills me with such joy. I love y'all so much. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Toni. Y'all are amazing, incredible beings, and you are just lights of this world. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Justin and Aaron, for checking in here. It was a really nice surprise, and I hope you have a great time where you're going. And maybe, you know, when time permits, we see you next week.
Yeah, maybe so. Just send me the invite, and if we're free like this, absolutely.
Yeah, will do. I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Oh, right now
Yes.
it is 1:11.
Oh, perfect.
Well,
Perfection.
awesome. Well, thank you both.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you both. Safe travels. Have fun. Love y'all.
Love y'all.
You guys. Have a beautiful
love
day.
you guys. It was a great time again with Sarah and Justin and Shelley and Aaron. And I enjoyed it as usual, and everybody else who was here.
Yeah, it was such a blessing meeting
we
you and your
always
husband.
we always have a lot of fun here.
Yeah, it was amazing. I am so glad that we were able to make that work. So thank you for coming and seeing us.
Yeah, thanks everybody. This is the end of today's show. Until next week. Yeah, Jacob. 7-Eleven there. Jacob is in the Netherlands. So, okay, well, this comes to the end of our today's show chat, and I love everybody. It's amazing. You keep showing up, and we all learn. I learn from you guys, and I'm always it always makes my day. It makes my week. So I always have good weeks. So thanks. I love you. And again, Sarah, thank you so much for your help. And till the next time, till next week.
Absolutely.
Love you. Bye now.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone. Bye.